A joint venture can either launch your real estate career into the stratosphere or implode it before you ever cash your first rent check. Joint ventures are a powerful way to scale your portfolio when you're missing time, experience, or capital. But if you don't structure them properly, you risk losing friendships, money, and your reputation. Without a clear agreement, aligned goals, and proper structure, even a seemingly perfect partnership can dissolve into legal disputes, stalled deals, or worse. So today, let's walk through the do's and don'ts of creating a rock-solid real estate joint venture. So let me share a real moment from my early investing career. Back when I was starting out, very first real estate deal, 26 years old, I was so eager to make my first flip that I partnered with 3 university friends. We were all excited. Lots of high fives, enthusiasm. We found a property and put an offer in almost immediately. But only after the deal was accepted did we sit down to run the numbers. And guess what? We forgot to factor in realtor commissions, capital gains, and even our own time. By the time we actually worked through everything, we realized we'd break even at best. And that's assuming everything went perfectly. So spoiler alert, it didn't. But thank goodness, we killed the deal before it closed, but I learned a big lesson. After that, I set out to build a real estate dream team, including an accountant, a lawyer, and a realtor, so I'd never make that kind of mistake again. And that's what this episode is all about, helping you avoid those same rookie mistakes. So let's break this down into a list. Number 1, partner with someone who complements you. So you want to find a JV partner, joint venture partner, who brings something to the table that you don't, either money, time, skills, or experience. Here's some questions to ask. Do they bring capital while you bring hustle and deal finding? Or are they experts in renovations while you manage tenant relationships? Or maybe they have connections to private lenders or contractors and you don't. Here's a really good one. Are their values and worth ethics aligned with yours? So here's an example. Imagine you have one partner that's the successful corporate professional with $250,000 to invest, but no time or real estate knowledge. And the other is a hungry investor who knows the market, the contractors and property management, but cash strapped. That's a win-win if expectations are clearly set. Number 2, somebody has to have the final say. So most people think 50-50 partnerships are fair, but they can often lead to deadlocks. So you want to define at the beginning who has decision-making authority. So here's some questions to ask. Who will handle the day-to-day operations? How will tiebreakers be resolved? Should one partner be designated as the operating partner? What's the dispute resolution process? So let's say you have 2 equal partners. One wants to hold the property long-term. The other wants to refinance in 12 months. Without a clear decision maker or exit strategy, this disagreement could stall your refinance, impact your ROI, or kill the partnership altogether. So really important. My next one, always put things in writing. Okay, now that could include a USA, which stands for Unanimous Shareholders Agreement, a USA. So no matter how friendly your JV is, always have a written agreement, especially if you incorporate. You want to include things like capital contributions and responsibilities, profit splits and how money flows out, exit strategy or buyout clauses, decision-making protocols. If you're incorporating, discuss that USA with your lawyer, that unanimous shareholders agreement with your lawyer. This is the rule book that governs how shareholders make decisions, resolve disputes, or even exit the business. Consider a 3-person JV with no USA. One partner suddenly decides they want to exit, but there's no clause for share valuation or buyout. Now the other 2 are scrambling because they don't have the money to buy the other partner out, and a great deal turns sour over something that could have been avoided with a simple agreement. Number 4, protect yourself even with friends or family. So money and emotions don't mix well. I think everybody has a story where friends or family and relationships are destroyed, especially mainly estate sales and things like that when somebody passes away. Always hear about family fighting, but with clear expectations and boundaries, you should be able to do business with people you care about. So how do you protect yourself? Well, you want to separate the business finances. I would recommend opening a separate bank account for your joint venture, even property by property. You want to use legal contracts, no handshake deals, and discuss the worst case scenarios up front. Everybody's always talking about, again, those high fives and this is great, we're going to be making so much money. But ask yourself, what's the worst case that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? What happens if the market bottoms out? What happens if interest rates go up? What happens if a contractor ends up, I don't know, stealing from you, going out behind your back or walking away, or you have to fire them? What's the worst case that can happen? What happens if your private lender decides to pull out? There's all these things. You want to discuss them upfront and have plans and backup plans. You want to avoid loaning personal money without structure. So, example, let's say that you have a joint venture with your brother and you assume he'll track the expenses and send updates. But 6 months in, the bank account is a mess, no records are kept, and there's tension every single time you talk. Proper systems set in writing would have protected both your relationship and your business. Now, this is a really good one, my next one, number 5. Should you incorporate your JV? Now, there are pros and cons to incorporating your joint venture, and you want to do your research before jumping in because there's legal costs and things like this, but consider this. Will incorporating protect your personal assets? I would say yes or no. It really depends. So obviously, I'm not a lawyer. Consult your lawyer for their legal opinion. Can you get financing as a corporation versus getting financing just as two ordinary people with W-2 or full-time jobs? Okay. Will you lose tax advantages like principal residence exemption? Maybe you're living in this house hack, flip, burr, whatever it is, and now you turn everything over into a corp, and now you sell it. Now you have this big capital gains because maybe you've lost your principal residence exemption because you actually had lived there. Ask these questions. Here's another one for you. What are the extra legal or accounting costs of incorporating? I kind of mentioned that, but I know that at the time of this video, I think my accountant probably charges $400 or $500 for a personal return, but $2,000 or $2,500 because he's doing the books for a corporation. Okay, and then legal costs. If it's just a partnership and it's just you and a buddy that happens to have this property in your own names, you're not going to have to do corporate minute books every year. You're not going to have to file things with corporations, at least up here, Corporations Canada, Manitoba, different state laws, different things like that. So there definitely are extra legal costs. So it's always going to be, positives and negatives, okay, advantages and disadvantages. Here's an example. So say you and a partner want to hold a fourplex long term. You create a corp to limit liability. That's great. Until your bank refuses to fund the mortgage under a new corp with no financial history. Now you're scrambling to reapply in your personal names or come up with creative financing to close. Okay. So I talked about a lot of things here. I think this episode is really about opening your eyes. I mean, joint ventures can be absolute rocket fuel behind your real estate portfolio. I mean, there's lots of really, really good reasons to do JVs. And most of them is because you're partnering with people with skill sets that you don't have, and it's collapsing time. But it's only going to work if you approach it with clarity, structure, and align your expectations. Define your roles, get things in writing, ask the hard questions before the deal, not after. So here's a bonus tip. A few episodes ago, I covered how to build your real estate dream team, including how to choose a good real estate lawyer, accountant, realtor, property manager. That lawyer could be the key to setting up your JV properly from the start. So be sure to check out that episode if you haven't already. I want you to click the link in the show notes to grab our free 7-step guide to buying your first rental property. It's packed with tips to help you find, fund, and manage your next great deal so you can build a portfolio that scales with confidence.